Hey Pennsylvania, it's Wine O'Clock on Wine Time PA. Join Rob, Holly, and Steve as they explore their home state of Pennsylvania and all the wonderful wineries it has to offer. Each month, they take a journey tasting the wines of PA. If you're able, pour a glass of your favorite wine and join us now for Wine Time.
Welcome, everyone, to another fabulous episode of Wine Time PA. I'm one of your hosts, Steve, and I'm here with my co-host, Rob.
Hello.
And my wife, Holly.
Hi, everybody.
So we are just three everyday wine drinkers that want to hit every winery in our home state of Pennsylvania, and you are welcome to join us on that journey. We also encourage you to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and anything else on the web to enhance your experience and send a few likes our way because it helps us grow. Also, October is PA Wine Month, so enjoy this bonus episode in honor of October. Today's episode, we are going to be continuing our journey into the Lake Erie wine region and discussing 6 Mile Cellars. It's located in Harborcreek and actually the closest winery in the Lake Erie wine region to downtown Erie itself. Most of the wineries you visit in the region, you'll notice, aren't in the town of Erie, but more in north and east of Erie. They comment on their website that they are the West Gate for people stopping by in the region. The name comes from the creek that runs through the property called 6 Mile Creek. They're open Wednesday through Sunday, and you don't need a reservation to visit unless you're a large group of 12 or more people. They may even call out larger groups without reservations if they're busy. So if you're a big group, I'd highly recommend just giving them a call and letting them know you're showing up. Our visit for this winery was at the end of June in 2025. So any of the information from today's podcast is going to be from that time frame and, may change. Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history?
Sure, and my apologies if I butcher names in this part of the episode, but Lenny and his wife Sherry Towell, my apologies, were gifted the property from Lenny's father in the 1970s, and it was growing Concord grapes, much like most of the wineries in the region. In the 1980s, they replanted the vineyard with Niagara grapes because at the time, that was the only contract Welch's was offering. We have talked a bit about Welch's influence across the area in our Courtyard episode, so if you haven't already listened to that episode, please tune into that one and find more information about the history of the region.
Yeah, Welch's has a huge influence on the region. It's fascinating to learn.
Yeah.
Yes, and those original vineyards that were planted are still on the property today.
Cool.
Now, Lenny's son Bart grew up in the vineyard, learning the trade from his dad and his grandfather, and decided to go into winemaking later in life with his friend Pat. Originally, they made wine for Pat and his wife Angela's wedding in 2005. They then kept doing it for fun and even started making some cider. And like similar stories we have heard before, it was a hit with their friends, family, and others, and they really enjoyed the wines. And eventually, they decided in 2010 to renovate the property as a tasting room and production site. They opened in May of 2012 as co-owners. In 2022, Bart decided to take a step back from the winery and turn the property over to Pat, who owns it today. Pat operates the cidery location and is the head cider maker as well. Jared Kelly is the general manager, who's not only their head winemaker, he is president of the Lake Erie Wine Country. He is WSET Level 2 certified, which that's a whole other thing that we've never really discussed. It's the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. Basically, it's a certification process for anyone who works in the wine, spirit, and beer industry, and or novice and enthusiasts who want to learn more about, in this case, wine. In fact, I know the three of us have at one time had conversations about maybe even getting the level 1 certifications, but it's just kind of some offhand conversations we have had and really haven't really followed through with that at this point.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to do, but all of our spare time.
Yeah, level 1 is really geared toward the novice and enthusiasts, which be perfect for us.
Yeah, I think it would be. I just with you, I'm just enjoying this journey, so I haven't really gone out of the way to do that. But I think it would be fun to look into it more someday. But anyway, let's talk another fun fact about the history of this winery, and that's actually the building itself that the winery is in. It's a barn, but it's a pre-Civil War historic barn built in the 1850s and once housed thoroughbred horses. It actually moved from its original location to where it is now in 1913. Now, I'm told it wasn't a long distance it moved. They said it's just a quick walk away, but I still find it cool when people move structures, around in that.
Especially in that day and age to
Yeah.
build structures.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't have
1913.
big trucks to haul things around.
Yeah. Yeah, and as Rob, I think, might have mentioned, it was renovated when they decided to turn it into a winery. They renovated the barn for the winery. When you pull in, you'll notice that you park on the back side of the barn and enter in basically the lower level or the basement area. The outside of the barn has a really nice blue color to it, and I really kind of liked that wood blue for the panels and the siding because, it kind of blended in with the scenery a little bit. It kind of kept the focus on the landscape around you, like in the vineyards and stuff, and I like that because it kind of meant they were the star when you pulled in. The tasting room is sort of 2 rooms. The first room you enter is like an outdoor patio feeling. It definitely feels like an addition, but you'll notice a really nice eclectic mix of wood picnic tables, high-top tables and chairs, and some other seating. The back room, located in the barn where the bar is, that's where you go to order the wine and where you'll see some of the historic charm from the property. They have beautiful stone walls, the wooden beams above your head as you're just kind of surrounded by it. It's very intimate. Obviously, there's wine racks and some seating. It's really unique compared to some of the other tasting rooms that we've been in because it's kind of small and intimate and cozy, but in a really good way. It's just a really nice place to chill. I will say, though, I can see there isn't like a ton of space, so I can see why those larger groups of 12 could be turned away if you didn't have a reservation. But I do also want to give a shout out to the staff. I can't remember the woman's name who helped us that day, but she was so nice and helpful. So, yeah, they were very kind there and welcoming, so thank you for that.
Also point out that right on the edge of the property, they had one of those signposts there. It had Lake Erie Wine Country, and it had the signs posting to some of the area wineries, like 3 miles this way and stuff. That was pretty cool. I liked seeing those stuff.
Yeah, I really like seeing that.
Yeah, that inter-community feeling that you get when you're in a wineries.
Yeah, and so speaking of the winery, all of their grapes come from the Erie wine region, and they do produce them all on site. When we visited, they had 13 wines to taste, which we know is a smaller selection than some of the other wineries that we've had podcast episodes about. But so of those 13, they're broken down into 3 dry whites, 3 dry reds, 3 semi-sweets, and 4 sweet wines. So you can do a tasting of 3 or 6 small samples, or you can do flights of larger pours, and you get 4 of them, which is what we did, and we shared them to get, nice size samples that we could get a good feel and a good taste of each of the wines we tried.
Yeah, and the prices of the wine were really reasonable as well as the flight options. The cost for a bottle of wine will range anywhere from $13 to $30, but only 3 of them were above the $20 mark. So really all in that really cheaper price range. We also want to note that how much we love the wine labels. They were just stunning. You'll have to check out our social medias. We'll have some pictures of that posted.
Yeah, they were really cool. I just loved them. They were each unique. They were similar, but all unique in the same way. They all had that 6 on them, and then they were different from there.
Yeah, they had these really stylized 6s, and each 6 was custom themed to that one. But when you saw them all together, they just all made sense that they blended together. And I like that cohesiveness.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
And if you don't like wine, they do offer some other items such as cider. We did mention earlier that Pat is the head cider maker, and you can also get flights of cider as well. And fun fact, they said that the apples for the ciders aren't local to the region, but they actually come from central Pennsylvania, where pretty much we live. And that's pretty cool that that connection from central Pennsylvania all the way up to the northwest part of the state.
Yeah.
They also had mule options on tap from a local distillery if you prefer spirits. And for non-alcoholic drinkers, they had some mocktails as well as bottled water, soda, and grape juice.
Yeah, of course, grape juice.
Of course. I wonder where they got the grapes for that.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of surprising, all the wineries I've been to, you don't see a lot of wineries offering just grape juice. You know what I mean? It's usually...
Concord or Niagara grape juice.
Yeah. Well, in terms of food, they really didn't offer anything other than I think I saw a few light snack things that you could purchase. And these are things like prepackaged chips and crackers. But you are allowed to bring your own food. And we almost always carry crackers and things with us when we're visiting wineries. And that's what we did in this one. We had some crackers. We brought them in and kind of snacked on them while we were tasting our wine.
Yeah, it's always good to have a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, so let's move on to the part where we discuss the wines themselves. So as we've been doing for this season, We are going to pick two group picks that are sort of general crowd pleasers that basically anybody could enjoy. And then we're going to pick two of our individual favorites. So in like all our episodes, we are not being paid to endorse 6 Mile Winery, and we are not being paid by anybody in the industry. We just do this for fun. And like we always say, drink what you love. Rob, why don't you start us off?
All right, for our first group pick, this one's going to be a bit of a shocker because we picked the Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shocker that all three of us thought that was so good.
Yeah, we've each individually enjoyed a Chardonnay, but there's rarely been one that we all three have liked.
Yes, and I'm usually not a Chardonnay fan, but this one was a really good Chardonnay. I believe this was an unoaked Chardonnay, which is probably why I enjoyed it, because I've been finding the Chardonnays I do like tend to be the unoaked variety.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But this one was just, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was almost a dry white wine, like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling or something, and not a Chardonnay. It had some acidity to it, but then you did get some of that classic buttery, creamy flavors, classic to Chardonnays. But I also got some hints of green apple in this one, which, again, more typical of like a Riesling or a Sauv Blanc. But I thought this was a really enjoyable Chardonnay, and I think it's a good pick for us. I think all three of us enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was bright, it was crisp, it was refreshing. I had notes of like citrus and green apple in it that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really love that apple. That was the unique part of the Chardonnay. I thought you don't really get that a lot, but I can't help but wonder if it was like part of the terroir up there.
It might be.
We got apple and other things too. It was I got a little bit of like an earthy apple, which made it a little bit more unique, and definitely some citrus. It was a bit different from your traditional Chardonnay. It was dry, but it was also nice and refreshing, I thought.
Yeah, like I said, it was more like a Sauv Blanc or a Riesling even.
Yeah, you could definitely tell though it was like Chardonnay,
definitely.
but it was different.
It had those buttery notes of a Chardonnay for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you're one of those ones like us that you're kind of like, I'm not really a Chardonnay person, I think this one was unique enough that it's worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder what big Chardonnay fans would think of this one because it's different enough. I wonder if they would still enjoy it.
Yeah, but again, crowd pleaser.
Yeah,
that'd be a good Chardonnay for like a wedding or an event or something, or dinner party.
Agreed.
I think anybody could drink this and enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about our second group pick. So the tasting sheet, like most, are listed dry to sweetest, and the Chardonnay was number one. So it was obviously one of the driest. And for our second pick, we picked the very last one. So we went from one end of the spectrum to the
We've done
other.
this before.
Yeah. Hey, we don't discriminate. Dry, sweet,
Red,
anything.
white,
We don't
whatever.
care. We like it all.
We like it all. And the wine is called their Derby Sangria. First, I want to talk about the smell. I could not stop smelling this wine. It was just fabulous. I could have sniffed that thing all day. It would have been, it looked a little weird going around sniffing wine all day, but I could have done it. But it's their Derby Red infused with mango, pineapple, and passion fruit. And first, I want to say this is a unique blend of fruits for a sangria. Usually, I feel like when we see sangria wines, the blend is things like, oranges and berries and maybe some pineapple. But mango and passion fruit was really quite different for me. But you got all of those fruits it mentioned together in your palate and just blended harmony. Like it just blended so perfect in harmony. I think I just said harmony. Yeah. Anyway, I noted it was like a summer party in a glass, and it's probably the best sangria I've ever tasted.
My first comment in my notebook for this was, and I quote, "out of this world aroma." Like you, Holly, I could not put this glass down because I just wanted to keep sniffing it all day. It was so great on the aroma. And it was just an amazing wine. Yeah, it was a sweeter wine, but man, it was thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This was an amazing sangria. And again, like everybody said, the aroma was just fantastic. I couldn't get enough. The tropical fruits just mixed so perfectly with that Concord Fredonia blend. It was just a great combination.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning the Concord Fredonia. That was the blend in their Derby Red,
Derby Red.
Red that I had mentioned that was used with that. So, yeah, it was a great blend.
Yeah, and speaking of their derbies, my number one pick is their Derby Rosé. So this is their semi-sweet pink Catawba. So, I mean, that really shouldn't be a surprise. It's my guilty pleasure. Don't care that it's sweet. Love them. And this one does have a good bit of sweetness. It's got 5% residual sugar, so it's not like crazy sweet. It's just got a really nice, beautiful tartness in the finish, too. It's just kind of like light and easy drinking. It's really a good overall representation of a pink Catawba. And yeah, I'm just a sucker for a good pink kitty.
Yeah, I think I noted similar things to you. As far as I actually kind of enjoyed this. I'm not as crazy about the pink tavas as you two are, but I put it as like light and crisp and refreshing. It was like one that you could sip on all day. I even put like a little, kind of reminded me a little bit of a Jolly Rancher. Or when you're a kid, you ever put a Jolly Rancher like in water or soda to kind of add some flavor to it? Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Jolly Ranchers and soda. That's a little.
Yeah,
Maybe it was Zemo. We did it back in the day.
this is when she was underage, drinking illegally.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this offline.
Sorry, but
No,
Jolly Rancher on there is good.
It was a really good pink Catawba, and yeah, like Steve, I enjoyed. I'm glad he picked it because if he didn't pick this one, I was going to pick this one because I thoroughly enjoyed this as well. But my first pick, I'm going to go to something a little more traditional for Rob, and I'm going to go with their Gewürztraminer. Now, this is one we haven't seen too often. We see it here and there, certainly, but it's not one that we see at every winery. But man, this is just, it hit all those right spots for me. It had some great floral aromas, some great amount of citrus like oranges or tangerine. It was really smooth and crisp and just, man, this was just a classic example of how you can make a really good Gewürztraminer, and it's my first pick.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely worth trying.
Yeah.
I know you and me, this is another place where we overlap pretty heavily. We both love Gewürztraminer, so of course we were going to try it. And yeah, definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, it was unique. I tried the Gewürztraminers a lot with you guys. I do enjoy them. They're not always one of my top picks, but I do enjoy them a lot. This one, there was something very unique about it, that just felt a little different. I think it was a little more floral than I was expecting for a Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, it was a little more floral than the citrus notes that typically shine in it, and I typically like those, but the floral did add something really good to it.
Yeah, it really did. All right, so my first pick, and I'm kind of like Rob here going classic Holly, and I went the Pinot Gris. Now, while I've kind of moved more into Sauvignon Blancs on my drier white wine journey than I do Pinot Gris, I still do enjoy a good Pinot Gris or Grigio every so often. And I think they note on their site this is actually one of their best sellers, and I can see why. It only had like 1.2% residual sugar, so very low. It actually kind of surprised me as it kind of reminded me a little more of a Riesling, as there was definitely some Sona minerality to it that I got in the finish. It had some really nice citrus notes. I even noted maybe a little like green melon in it that I thought was really interesting. And I just thought this would be a really great wine to pair with a variety of dishes like fish or chicken or pasta. I just think it would be great, and I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm not always a big fan of the Pinot Gris like you are, Holly, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. I had the same notes. It was crisp, it was citrusy, wasn't too acidic, but there was certainly acidity there. I even got some like sweet fruit forward notes in there, and it was just a really unique Pinot Gris, and I enjoyed it.
And so nobody went outside their comfort zone in round one.
No, we all stayed in our comfort zone. Well, moving on to round two and our second of our individual picks, I'll kick us off. And I'm going to go with something very unique, I thought, the Zwei Donné. It's a blend of Zweigelt and Chardonnay, so hence the name, Zwei Donné.
Yeah, Zweigelt is almost interesting enough on its own.
Yeah, so it's a sparkling one, too. It's one of their semi-sweets. It's got a 2.5% residual sugar. It starts sweet, but it has this really nice tart finish to it. The effervescence is light, but it's fun. I got really notes of fruit and vanilla that I liked. And honestly, I've never come across anything like this before in our travels. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a blend like this. And the sparkling aspect to it, it just was fun. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, a dry red with a Chardonnay is not exactly something you come across every day, but this was a really unique wine, and I got some notes of like raspberry in there, and like it was an enjoyable wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that touch of sweet that it starts with and that tart finish, and the CO2 just really rounds it out nicely. It gives the perfect effect of drinking that wine. All right, so my number 2 pick is the Vin du Rousset. Or Rousseau?
Say that 3 times.
Yeah,
We apologize.
I think that's French derivative. I'm just going to go with it because I don't speak French that well anymore, unfortunately. But so what this is it's a dry blend of Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Pinot Noir. And I love those 3 wines because they often just make like interesting blends into other reds. So, and altogether, it was just really interesting. It was fruity to start. It was just nice and smooth to drink. And it almost just evaporates off the tongue in the finish, just leaving this really nice and pleasant aftertaste. I just often say I love a good red blend, and this is just one of those examples.
Yeah, I mean, I got some really nice grapey aromas at when you smell it. And yeah, just I had that note where you drink it and then just it kind of falls off your tongue there. It just disappeared away.
I loved that finish. It wasn't dry, it wasn't sweet.
It just evaporated. It's just gone.
It's kind of like the way cotton candy just
Yeah, exactly.
It's like after the taste of the cotton candy just disappears. It was just nice. It was so pleasant.
Well, speaking of pleasant, my number 2 pick is a unique wine. It's the Strawberry Treminette.
Yeah, I was so excited to try this when I saw that name on the tasting sheet.
Yeah, you've heard me say before, I'm not apologizing that I love Treminette wines. If I see them on the sheet, I'm going to try them, guaranteed. And chances are I'm going to like it. And you add some strawberry into that, which I like strawberry flavoring as well, and you just get a perfect recipe for Rob here. And that just kind of gave this a whole nother level of excitement for me. The strawberry flavor and aroma was just right. It wasn't too overwhelming. It wasn't too little. This wine was rather crisp to drink. It had a beautiful pink coloring to it. It was classified as a semi-sweet, so it's a little sweeter than most of your Treminettes that tend to be more in the semi-dry range. But in the taste, you just got the floral notes of the Treminette, then the strawberry just kind of pops you at the finish. I could just drink this every day, not get bored with it. And I know, like you said, Steve, we were excited when we saw this on the list. And I think if we're being honest, we kind of picked this winery because we saw that on the list and we all kind of got a little excited for it.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility.
I know I bought a bottle of it and, this
I did too.
Could have easily been a group pick for us, but I mean, you're pairing my favorite grape with one of my favorite flavors and strawberry together. Try the strawberry Treminette, please. It's definitely worth the trip there.
Yeah, I bought a bottle too. I thought it was just so unique, and I'm like, I'm never going to see this again, so I might as well just pick up a bottle. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I personally would have liked a bit more strawberry, but hey,
sure,
everybody's a little different. But it worked really well. The strawberry sort of replaced the citrusy bits of all the Treminette that you normally get, but like Rob said, it left a bit of that floral too, and so you knew you were drinking a Treminette, and you knew you were drinking something with strawberry. It was just nice and easy drinking.
It's interesting when you guys talk because my notes were slightly different but similar. First, when I smelled it, I was thinking strawberry and jam, so I got the strawberry. And I remember when I first took a sip, the strawberry kind of hit me a little bit in the first, but then the floral overpowered it, and then I got a pop of strawberry at the end. So I know, Rob, I think you said you got that pop at the end too, but man, it was like a little hint of strawberry, a lot of floral, then a pop of strawberry at the end. So it was really interesting the way it played on my tongue when I drank it that day.
It's funny how all our tongues are different.
Yeah. All right. Well, normally this is where we go into some honorable mentions, but they only have 13 wines and we covered most of them. So I think we're going to just kind of skip the honorable mentions this time, though I think we all agreed that all of their wines were one that any of us could put a glass of this wine in front of us and we would drink it. Like there's not a single wine on their menu I could not drink a glass of if somebody gave it to me. So I also note that the advantages to having a smaller selection means it's easier to taste them all. And though we may not recommend that at every winery we go to try all the wines, I think this is one that's actually doable.
Yeah, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with 6 Mile Cellars. I was a little nervous since they only had a small selection, but boy, this is one of those cases where smaller is better because they just crushed every single one of those wines, and every single one of their wines were drinkable, great. I could drink any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically what they lacked in quantity, they made up for in quality. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so in summary, 6 Mile is just a lovely setting and a perfect Westgate introduction to the Erie wine country. They may be small, but they are mighty in terms of their history, their hospitality, and the wines they offer, and are excellently crafted. For more information, visit their website, 6milecellars.com, and that's the number 6, not the word 6. And you can also find them on social media. Again, if you use the number 6, you'll probably get better results, but I always type in SIX and I get fine results too. So don't forget to also follow us on social media because liking and subscribing does help this podcast grow. And if you can take a moment to review, even better. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month as we discuss yet another great Pennsylvania winery. Until then, cheers.
Thanks for listening to Wine Time PA with your host Rob, Holly, and Steve. We hope you enjoyed our take on Pennsylvania wineries and all that they have to offer. Please be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast. Also, be sure to follow them on social media for updates and news. Remember, when it comes to wine, drink what you love.